It looked like Adidas and Beyonce were going to have a gentle start to their collaboration when they dropped a couple of things here or there. They were kind of on the fringes of popular fashion and style, but then this sneaker changes absolutely everything. The UltraBOOST sneaker is iconic, especially in the pre-2019 silhouettes, which this one is, and it's going to change the whole playing field for Beyonce and Adidas as they collaborate together on this Ivy Park collaboration. Now, this sneaker in itself has an awful lot of different features on it, unique specifically to this Ivy Park collaboration, but also some of the standard UltraBOOST line from Adidas. It's an absolutely popping color, it's an absolutely smashing collaboration, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to bringing you guys today the Adidas UltraBOOST Ivy Park collaboration. This is the Tokyo About 23 sneaker channel, Tokyo About 23 sneaker channel, Des. Mainichi, Absuru no de Mainichi Mito Design. Every single day I bring you content from Tokyo, Japan about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today we're looking at the upcoming release of the Adidas UltraBOOST collaboration with Beyonce, the Ivy Park line. Now these guys, I mean Beyonce and Adidas, they were sort of trucking along, dropping some hints here or there about stuff that was coming. There's a picture of, this red, maroon and solar orange, I think they're calling it, tracksuit or sports suit or whatever. And then there was a couple of sneakers that were projected to drop, and I'll put a picture up here behind me here of those. They're both night joggers, one which is in this maroon and solar red colorway, which should be behind me right now. And then if I change that up to a more kind of white based colorway. So, these things were not getting people like crazy excited, right? You're looking at these and you're thinking, yeah, okay, Beyonce, great, love it. Adidas, brilliant. 3-stripe branding, excellent. Night joggers, they're a pretty good sneaker, but then bang, all of a sudden they come out of left field with this UltraBOOST, and it's absolutely fire and it's absolutely popping. And that's the sneaker that I'm going to be focusing on today. So those night joggers, great looking sneakers, fine. I'd be happy to review them on their own. But this UltraBOOST is a little bit extra. It's a bit next level, and that's where we're going to be focusing our attention with this collaboration between Beyonce and Adidas. Now, it's called the Ivy Park collaboration. The Ivy Park, it has meaning. Ivy is Beyonce's daughter's middle name. I think her daughter's is called Blue Ivy Carter. And the park part of it comes out of, I think it's Parkwood Park in Houston, where she used to hang out and train and kind of like go to empower herself, is what I've read online. So it's two different things. The Ivy part and the park part of it come together and gives us this whole kind of set, this whole collaboration. And this specific sneaker is that Adidas UltraBOOST, which we're going to be looking at in the maroon and solar red colorway today. But before we do that, hit that subscribe button down below and hit the like button. People forget to hit the like button, so please do hit that like button. And as I am here in Tokyo, Japan, I do say that in Japanese at the start of every single one of my my videos, which sounds something like 登録よろしくお願いします。あとはいいねをクリックすると助かるので、その2つをぜひよろしくお願いします。So, this sneaker, the UltraBOOST Ivy Park, obviously, like I said already, it's maroon and solar red, which is the main kind of popping effect of the thing. If you look at it, from afar, it's unusual in my mind for an UltraBOOST to be just two colors. Sometimes you get like triple blacks, for example, which I own a pair of triple black 3.0s. But usually there's 3 or 4 colors going on, and it's kind of unusual to see the upper all one color, and that's where most of the maroon is. In fact, all of the maroon comes in that upper side of the sneaker, and the solar red parts of it only comes on that outsole, and a massive heel tag that hangs out the back. Now, I've surely put a picture up behind me here, of that picture, the heel tag on the back with Ivy Park in maroon writing on that solar orange tag there. And you can see if you zoom in a bit on here where it's attached to the heel of the sneaker, is attached with one of those kind of climbing hooks on there, and what it's attached to is laces. These are kind of I was going to say controversial, but I don't know if controversial is the right word. Maybe interesting or unique or questionable are better words for this here. But you can see the lacing is sort of wound together. Now it's maroon lacing with white hits and white speckles in it, which is interesting to me because if I flick back now, there's a difference here. I'm going to show you the night joggers and their lacing system, and then we're going to come back to these UltraBOOST and look at the lacing system on these. So if you look at the night joggers now, you can see that this lace around the heel, around the ankle area, on the kind of Achilles tendon area of the sneaker is actually, I don't know, it's like the hook or the base of the other laces that come on the front part of the sneaker. And hopefully I've zoomed in well enough behind me here so that you can get an idea of what I mean about that being a two-part lacing system. The bit that wraps around the heel that gives a hook, makes a loop, which the laces themselves are then kind of attached into. And I guess in effect, what I didn't really think of this before, but I'm thinking of it now, what that does is it makes the top eyelet in the lacing system. So then if I flip back to these UltraBOOST Ivy Parks, and if we zoom in on that back part there that I was talking about before with the looped laces, I cannot see a place where the back lace on the UltraBOOST connects to the front lacing system. It was very clear on the night joggers how that was happening, but in the case of the UltraBOOST, you can't see. Now it's possible that if you went down, if the lace went down through the heel counter across and then up through the cage, and it would be hidden from view, it is possible that that could happen, but I just don't think that that's what they're going to do with these guys. I think the UltraBOOST, unlike the night joggers, that lace on the back and the lacing system on the front are going to be two completely separate things without that loop or that join between the two. But staying with that and talking about the laces, that's the only point of color on the upper. Anything above the outsole, the only point of color that's not maroon comes in the laces. Now there are two places that they do that. One is in the actual speckles that I talked about before. And again, if you look at the heel section and you look at the laces themselves, it looks like the speckling is a different sort of size or coloring. It's more pronounced on the heel than it is on the actual laces themselves. Now I might be wrong in that, but that's just the way it looks to me when you look at these guys back here. So that's one point of colouring, is in those speckles in the laces, both at the heel and on the lacing system. But another point of colouring is in two places on the front laces, and one is the lace lock, which is black, and you should be able to see here, and that's giving you a hint about what I'm going to talk about next. And the other is the top part of the laces, which again come in that rubberized black kind of feature on there. But before I talk about those laces, you're watching a sneaker video. You must be interested in sneakers. If you're interested in the rarest sneakers in the world, every weekend on a Sunday, Shoe Butter is a shoe tuber who comes to my channel, and he shows us in-hand rare sneakers every single Sunday. And what I do is, in the lead up to those Sunday sneakers, I drop hints throughout the week about what it's going to be, and you have to try and guess what it is. So today is the first day of that, and hint number one is Fred Jones. So if you think you can work out what rare sneaker we're going to have in hand at the channel that's based on Fred Jones, hit me up with a comment down below. But enough about that. I'll talk more about the butter movement later, which is what that was all about. But let's get into these laces and talk more about that lace lock and the end of the lacing system. So the lace lock is giving us a hint about something on these sneakers. And again, at the end of the laces, if we zoom in on the end part of the laces first, you can see that the two laces come together, and then they're kind of welded together in a black piece of rubber. And those two things together, the lace lock and that welded end to both laces, okay? So it's the, what they call now, the egglets or something? They're called egglets or something, the end of the laces. People will be able to tell me in the comments down below what they are actually called. Because they aren't, like, they don't have rubber on two different laces like this, it's actually the laces come together and they're made into one. That's telling us that it's a kind of trail style lacing system where you'd lock the laces with that lace lock there, and you wouldn't tie them. So it's not going to be tied like a regular lacing system in a bow kind of thing. It's actually going to be a trail style lace where you pull it tight, lock it with the lace lock, and then you're kind of done. And I don't know if I'll be able to show that in better detail than I'm able to explain it using words. But that's the main elements of colouring on the upper of this sneaker come to do with those laces, the white speckles and the two black points with the lace lock, and then the end of the laces where, like I said, you've got the rubber meld together there. Now, staying with the laces, for the last thing to look at before we get down into the lower half of the sneaker is that on the tongue, beside the laces obviously, you can see that the tongue patch up there is actually leather, which is one of the few elements of uniqueness about these in terms of Ultra Boost. Everything else is kind of standard Ultra Boost, standard prime knit, standard cage, standard heel cup, except for one thing which we'll get to in a minute. But the heel cup itself is just standard sort of styling, very simple one. I own a pair of Ultra Boost 3.0, golly, I can't remember what they're called now. The name will come to me, but the cage is a sort of metal cage in a mesh effect. So usually what you get on, not the cage, the heel counters is sort of mesh effect. They're trace cargo, that's what they're called, trace cargo. It's a mesh effect, metal kind of effect as well. So it's solid, so it's not like flexible like mesh, it's actually quite hard. And these could have done with something like that, a bit of something a bit different, a bit special, rather than your standard sort of plastic or rubber or whatever that material is that makes up the heel counter on there. So everything's kind of standard in terms of the materials they've used to make these, except on that tongue where you've got that leather patch on there. But if we go down past the cage, which again you can see behind me here is just your standard sort of Ultra Boost cage for 1.0 through 4.0, and then onto that heel counter, like I said, and it is exactly the materials that a normal heel counter would be made of. Sometimes the branding on the side is in a different color to stand in contrast to the heel counter, but what they've gone with on these is the same, so it's maroon on maroon, but the wording is different, and the wording itself says Ivy Park. Now that reminds me of a sneaker that I reviewed recently, which was the Ultra Boost 4D Futurecraft. Bing. And that had different branding on the heel cup, just like they have here on the heel cup here as well. And I think, if I remember rightly, it was the same in that the color of the writing and the color of the heel counter were both the same. And it wouldn't be that hard, for example, on these guys to have that maroon heel counter and then write the words Ivy Park in the solar orange. That would have been pretty easy, and I think it would have given a great pop of color to the upper. But it is just a solid maroon upper. Even when we get down into that midsole and that Boost midsole, and they've been coloring the midsole an awful lot recently. And I've talked in previous videos about how I think they've done it too late. The hype on coloring the midsole is like 2 years old, and it could have really taken Ultra Boost to the next level, but they didn't do it enough. And now when they do it, it's just kind of standard. I'll be talking next week, I'd imagine, about the triple reds, the Ultra Boost 20 triple reds, and how they've got a red midsole on there, and it's nothing special. It would have been a hype special thing a couple of years ago, but in the case of these Ivy Parks, it's the same. It's got that all maroon midsole on there, and a year ago, 2 years ago, 18 months ago, that would have been like, wow, check that out. But now it's kind of standard, even though it's still cool. It's kind of standard. So that's the two main. There's basically 3/3 to a sneaker: the upper, the midsole, and the outsole. And the two upper halves of that, or two upper thirds of that, are both in maroon. But then when we get to that outsole, which is the Continental rubber outsole, it is in that poppin' solar orange colorway, which gives this sneaker an extra bit of dimension, an extra bit of color. If you'd imagine this as black or even maroon itself, I think it would have dulled the sneaker down a bit, but giving that contrast, that extra bit of contrast from the orange color in there, really works well for me. So if we step back and have a look at this thing in total, look at the whole sneaker as a one, you can see how important that outsole is on there. Without it, it would have been a bit of a monochrome, mono color, mono design, and getting that extra bit of color on the outsole does add an extra bit of flair on there, which helps to sort of take away from the single color of the upper. So I'm very much a yes on these outsoles. I think they're a pretty cool looking sneaker. I do like the Ultra Boost 1.0 through 4.0s. I've talked about Ultra Boost 19s and Ultra Boost 20s in previous videos, so I won't get into that here. But I do like those, what I call the OG Ultra Boost, those first 4 silhouettes. I think they're really cool, and this particular Colorway I think is very nice. I'm not a huge fan of that lacing system on there. I'm not a huge fan of trail lacing systems with the pull and the lace lock, especially as that lace lock tends to work itself loose, and you're kind of continually tightening and tightening. Whereas if you tie your laces in a double bow, you generally don't have to worry about them for the whole day. So I'm not a huge fan of the trail laces, but that aside, it's a fire sneaker and a really poppin' colorway. Now I did say at the top of this video, it wasn't the top, it was in the middle of this video, that we talk a little bit about the butter movement. And the butter movement guys, because of that game that we play when guys try to work out which sneaker it is that's coming to the channel on Sunday. I'll put a playlist to that right here, ding, because what that is every week Shoe Butter brings some rare sneakers to the channel, and some of the sneakers he's brought so far have been absolutely iconic, like one of ones. We're talking about the LeBron 7 Hades, we're talking about the LeBron 8 Graffiti 8s, the Graffiti 8s and stuff like that. So really amazing sneakers. And then there's more coming down the line as well. I was watching some videos last night that he's already shot for me, and some of the videos that are going to be coming down the line are absolutely iconic. So looking forward to keeping up with that content with you guys. Looking forward to keeping those rare sneakers. In fact, here's 5 of the rarest sneakers in the world. Might as well stick that link in there as well for you guys to look at if you're interested in those kind of sneakers. For now though, it's time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. We're into 2020, pushing the channel forward and trying to keep it going, and trying to we're well past, I don't know if well past is the right way to say it, but we're significantly past 1,000 subscribers. I'm reluctant to sort of make that a big thing because we're not far enough past 1,000 subscribers for me to feel like I can securely say we're into that zone. So we still have some work to do and effort to put in to try and get this channel to grow as big as possible before the Olympics come into town later this year. But anyway, for now it is time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content, and as I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.